So SIRUI just joined the L-mount Alliance. So what does that mean? Well, it means that is it even worth considering the LUMIX 35 f1.8 anymore? This lens is an f1.4, this one isn't. But then again, is one better than the other? Well, we're gonna find out in this video. If you don't know me, my name's Dustin, the video tour guide, LUMIX guy, LUMIX legend. I've been called LUMIX Daddy. Sit back, relax, enjoy the video. Disclosure real quick. SIRUI sent me this lens in exchange for a video. LUMIX sent me this lens a really long time ago. It's on long-term loan. I sell a course on LUMIX. I made it on my own free will because I love these cameras and lenses. It doesn't affect my thoughts and opinions though. So anyways, let's get into it and sign up for the course. Yeah, shameless plug. It's the best place, over 400 students. First, let's talk about the SIRUI Aurora 35mm f1.4. Initially, there is some things that I like about this lens and some things I don't, which I'll get into. But I would classify this kind of lens as a lens with assets type of lens. Let me explain. You've got a AF/MF switch, a function button, an iris lock for the iris ring on the lens, and you can also change it from a clicked aperture and a non-clicked aperture. Whereas in comparison, the LUMIX version, it's very simple, which is not necessarily a bad thing. All it has is a AF/MF switch. But if you like lenses with assets, you might be already wanting the Aurora instead. However, there is more to consider. In terms of weight, I would say they're both kind of like medium weight lenses. The LUMIX might be a little bit lighter in comparison to this. I don't know, this is just going off how they feel in my hands. I should probably check what the grams are exactly, but, and maybe this one just feels lighter because it's like a more, I don't know what that outside is, but a more plasticky type of outside, where this is like a metal construction. So again, this plasticky type stuff too, all LUMIX's lenses are really like this, and doesn't make it a bad thing. It really helps on weight. Now, as you can see, the LUMIX version is slightly smaller than the SIRUI version, but the weird thing is on the Aurora lens, it's a 62mm thread, whereas on the LUMIX, it's a 67mm thread, which I definitely prefer the 67mm thread. That's mostly just because 67mm feels like a much more common thread, whereas 62mm isn't as common. It's not really that big a deal, but I just noticed that when it comes to filters, they're easier to find when they're at least 67mm. The minimum focus distance on the Aurora is 13.8 inches, and it's only 9.4 inches on the LUMIX. The LUMIX can also go up to an f22 aperture, whereas the Aurora is only f16. But you're also getting f1.4 on the Aurora, whereas on the LUMIX, you're getting f1.8. So it just kind of depends what's more important to you there. Now, the other big things to consider that the LUMIX will have and the Aurora will not is cropless IBIS, at least if you're on the LUMIX S1.2, S1R2, or S1.2E, and the ability to program the focus ring in autofocus to do something essentially. The latest firmware on these prime lenses, if you update them, you should have that functionality added on those specific cameras. The S5 II, S5 IIX, S9, those do not have that ability yet. So just because the Aurora lens has more assets on the physical body of the lens, the LUMIX gets you some other assets in terms of functionality that the Aurora doesn't, so just keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that the Aurora lens is $549 retail and the LUMIX is $747 retail. So the Aurora is cheaper. Obviously, that's before any kind of tariffs or sales. I'm just going off retail, okay? I can't keep track of how much these lenses cost all the time. But another thing that I like on the Aurora is that f1.4 aperture. We love the blur, and I'm assuming that's what you want to see now. Image quality. So let's play a little game of can you guess which lens is the Aurora and which one is the LUMIX. Were you able to guess? Let me know down in the comments. Now, in terms of what I see compared to both lenses, they honestly seem very similar. It's very hard to tell which one is which in the comparisons. One thing I did notice is the Aurora seems to have slightly more character when it comes to the lens flare. In terms of sharpness as well between the lenses, you're going to have a hard time distinguishing the differences between the lenses, unless you're probably pixel peeping, which I don't really do unless it's like blaringly obvious, right? One thing I did notice on the SIRUI is that when I was using it to take some photos and video of my son while he was trick-or-treating, that the autofocus like kind of stopped working. It was giving me like a red box. So I had to just unseat the lens basically and then reseat it, and then it was working again just fine. I'm assuming stuff like that will get fixed in firmwares because there is a little USB-C port here so you can do firmware updates. It's kind of interesting that they have that there now that I think about it, because if they're a part of the L-Mount Alliance, you should be able to have the lens on the camera and then just put the lens firmware on an SD card and update it through the camera. I'll have to look into that because maybe it's just hard for them to just not include this USB-C port, so or maybe they have to do them through there. I don't know. It worked on my Samyang lens when I did the firmware update. People thought that you had to buy like the little docking thing in order to update that lens, but you didn't have to. You can update it through the camera. So anyways, getting a little off topic, but in just terms of overall image quality, like I really like this lens. It's a cool lens. It's a great option in comparison to the LUMIX. It kind of just comes down to what's more important to you. So in conclusion, I like both of these lenses. It's really hard for me in this case to recommend one over the other because they both offer some great features over the other. You need maybe a slightly lighter lens that gives you better functionality with certain LUMIX cameras like cropless IBIS and focus ring functions, then the LUMIX is the way to go. If you like the aperture ring and the function button and the f1.4 aperture, then the Aurora is probably the way to go. The only reason that I would probably choose the LUMIX over the Aurora is I love cropless IBIS. It's so freaking cool, man. But if you don't own a LUMIX that offers cropless IBIS, like you don't own the S1.2, the S1R2, or the S1.2E, then it's really hard for me to say, go for the LUMIX lens over the Aurora lens. It's up to you. If you are interested in either of the lenses though, I will have affiliate links in the description. If you use those, thank you. They support the channel and help feed my family. Yeah, that's right. Make you feel guilty for not using them. You want my family to starve? I'm sorry, that was too far. You can always support me just by hitting the subscribe button or the bell button to be notified of future uploads. Oh yeah, and my course. Sign up. Over 400 students now, and one-time payment, free updates for life. It's great, okay? Happy filming. Bye.